There was a time when all the gates were full, from California to Florida. A lot has changed over the course of time. Now, well, things are different.
Racing is everything, right? It's what we do. It's why we do it.
And those feelings that you get at a race are so much different. They're so authentic and pure to the sport.
Our sport as a whole, when it comes to a local level, is really hurting.
There's definitely a lack of racing that's taking place every single weekend.
They didn't want to become professional racers. They wanted to be training facility riders.
Plain and simple. You can practice and train all you want until you take it to the racetrack for a test. You really don't know.
They say nothing is permanent except change. While most would agree, the feeling of riding on two wheels defeats this theory. And to intensify that statement, the feeling of racing on two wheels, well, nothing can ever change that feeling. While how racing impacts us may never change, the state of racing definitely has.
So racing, when I was growing up, that's what we did. There was a race you could attend every single weekend that was somewhere between 2 to 4 hours away in California. And it had some of the best kids on the gate in California at that time.
In the 80s and the 90s, I'm 42, so things were a lot different, right? We didn't have facilities, we didn't have trainers per se. We raced.
I started racing when I was 5 years old, raced amateurs all the way through, did the whole thing, turned pro at 16, and then raced until I was in my mid-30s or so. I spent most of my youth driving down to Southern California, finding kids to race at Paris and Glen Helen and Sunrise and all those tracks.
Yeah, back when I started racing, I started in C class and progressed pretty quickly. In the Southeast, AMA District 29, we had a lot of races, and it was really important to me to go there, get beat, come home and practice and come back stronger the next weekend.
Vurbmoto, you had Alessi. I think about guys like Stroop, Izzy, Osborne, some guys that had really successful careers and you're still talking about today. Those were the guys you were chasing. Those are the guys you were watching, basing yourself off of, and those were the guys that you were trying to elevate or try and compete with at these larger amateur nationals.
Racing and gate drops is more important than anything because it's the real test. You can ride and practice and develop your skills and train. You can do that all you want, but until you go on a gate with a bunch of other kids that are all prepared like you are and put that to a test, you really don't know where you're at or how good you really are.
The rise in training facilities over the last 2 decades has been stark. From Oklahoma to Florida to South Carolina, these places are a one-stop shop. Train, ride against some of the best daily, and get hands-on coaching, all to prepare you for the next level.
We were just weekend warriors. We didn't ride during the week. We just raced every weekend, and we finally told him, okay, that summer when you get out of school, we'll go check it out. And so we did. We were here 5-6 weeks leading up to Loretta's, and that was the year that he won Loretta's for the first time on the 50. And then after that, he begged me to start homeschooling him so that he could continue to come here.
Do you feel like this is an abnormal lifestyle?
Yeah. Yeah.
One can point to a number of reasons: cost, competition, insurance, lack of tracks. But the fact of the matter is, local racing is hurting.
State of racing, if you look at it as a whole from a Loretta's perspective, it's amazing. It's as best it's ever been, and the numbers show that, right? When I first started doing races, 11 years ago, the numbers were almost double on a local level than what they are now.
It's definitely changed a lot since when I was an amateur, and there's a lot of time spent riding as opposed to racing these days.
Now everybody's at a facility and everybody's sharpening their skill sets there, but they're not racing against the person that might be a little bit better because they're not training at that facility, right?
Training facilities are very good, but I just think they've got in the mindset, or the parents have got in the mindset that they're training and not racing, and they're training for the big races. Racing your competition, I think, is really good, especially at the local races. It gets you ready for the big amateur races to kind of see, where your kid is or where yourself is.
Being a racer is the hardest thing that you'll ever do in life. And let's try to play a game and see how many times you can get in and out of it clean. Stop bobbling, all right? I guarantee you this is gonna fix all these issues.
It's gotta be hard every day, the grind of every day coming here and training. It's hardcore. We've seen a lot come and go here. It's not easy. And I know it's not easy for Matt. Yeah, I don't think everybody's living like this, no. But it's fun, it's different, and we're getting to experience something that very few get to experience. I will say that. Yeah.
You can try to simulate racing, right? You can try to simulate, and we did it best at Moto X. We had the riders and the gate drops and the simulation, and you can get close, but nothing quite simulates a local race. You get complacent when you get confident. I try not to ever let myself get in that mindset, right? Just try to stay hungry, have that dog in you.
Kids that spend their entire racing career in camps, they miss a lot of development in their riding, both on track and life development, really.
The goal for the majority of people in this industry, if you're a kid coming up racing, is to race at a high level, right? The goal is Supercross, Motocross, that's the dream. It's important to build a strong base, a strong foundation at a young age. Understand there's going to be challenges when you line up on that gate every single time.
Everybody needs to learn fundamentals and everybody needs to learn to sharpen that skill set, but there's got to be a balance between training and racing.
As long as things are rolling and you're healthy, you should be racing every single weekend, because those gate drops simulate the reality of what you're going to face when you go to a big race or if you go to a Supercross someday. So gate drops, gate drops, gate drops.
What we kind of kept running into is people wanted to become just professional training facility riders.
You need to race. You need to race all the time as much as possible. And if you're at a training facility, that's good. You have better access during the week to work on the things that you should be finding out on the weekends.
Racing isn't all about winning and losing. There are moments in life that forever define you. Certain memories that stay with you forever. Those memories are what racing is all about.
One of the most fun things about going racing is, for me, it's with my buddies. We're road tripping, we're going to the event, we're having that life experience, that journey going to the from the race. That's just as important.
We race as a family. I have an older boy, I had a daughter, and then Case. Us four, we grew up racing in Utah to the RMX races there. For our family dynamic, we stay together. We race together, we train together, we ride together.
I didn't do that as a kid, but man, I would look back and dream of going to all these events with my dad and us just, taking the truck and going there, unloading, race local, come back, talk about the race. And I think that's something that people need to do nowadays.
Loretta Lynn's been the pinnacle of amateur racing for more than 4 decades, a place where careers are made and lost. And while the Vurbmoto Classic isn't quite on the same level, it offers something else unique. A mix of fun, and high-level competition, and a way for us to provide a unique platform for racers of all abilities to compete at a high level.
It's truly a national caliber event as far as track prep, organization, and the level of competition that's there, but yet it has a regional feel, local track prices.
I think it's very important that riders are always racing locally in situations where they can be successful, but also finding races that are bigger with more competition where you do lose and you get whooped up sometimes, because that's where you get your best lessons.
While this debate could go on forever, with each outcome varying, the fact of the matter is quite simple. Racing, at every level, is crucial to success, not only for athletes, but for the state of the sport.
In reality, the gap between the kid that's winning locally and the kid that's winning nationally, it's not as big as you think. It's mostly in the head, it's in experience, it's in confidence. And so the more you do those types of races and get your feet wet and get a little better, that gap that a rider kind of naturally has in between local and national racing closes. And it always closes with experience. It's a pressure thing. When you're racing, there's an expected outcome. So there's a lot of pressure on meeting that expectation. When you're practicing, you're not being judged as much because you're working on things or you're just going through the motions. A lot of people do.
I think it's critical that people go to local events, get those gate drops, develop those skills on the track, find that competition, because I promise you, no matter where you go, you're going to find somebody faster than you.
And those feelings that you get at a race are so much different. They're so authentic and pure to the sport that if you're not chasing those feelings, you're never going to get over them. You're never going to get comfortable. And a wise man once told me that you can't measure without a measurement, and that happens at the racetrack, plain and simple.